I just kept thinking about my grandparents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my grandparents on my mom's side. So my grandmother had like a third or fourth grade education.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather had, I think it was a sixth grade education.
Okay.
They were not formally educated, but they were very bright, very smart, very kind and very loving and very hardworking.
Mm-hmm.
But for them, and they passed away.
Mm.
Um, but I just thought, I don't know that they could get their arms around the fact that their grandson was in the White House advising the President of the United States and accepting this challenge coin. And I just felt so proud.
Welcome to Inside the Castle Walls, where we share enlightening conversations with contemporary pioneers who scaled walls to change systems, organizations, and themselves to contribute to the greater good. My name is Errol Southers, and I'll be your host for the program. Today, we're joined by a person I've known for a long time, but just finally reconnected with some 16 years later, Vance Taylor. So, Vance, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on.
Okay. So what I'm going to do today, as I always do, everybody I get to speak with is just a rock star and they have incredible bios. And what annoys me most when I'm in public and have to do this is we read a bio that's one sentence or two sentences long when they've got just an amazing body of work. So bear with me, everyone, because it'll be worth it. So Luis, which will be explained, Vance Taylor, is the chief of the Office of Access and Functional Needs at the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services. Vance leads the team responsible for ensuring the needs of individuals with disabilities and persons with access or functional considerations are identified and integrated into the state's emergency management systems before, during, and after disasters. Vance was appointed by President Biden to serve as a member of the President's National Infrastructure Advisory Council, the NIAC, in 2022. As a member of the NIAC, Vance advised the White House on how to reduce physical and cyber risks and how to improve the security and resilience of the nation's critical infrastructure sectors. Born and raised in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, Vance was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy as a child and uses a power wheelchair. He has worked in Washington, D.C. as an advisor for two different members of Congress, directed security policy at a National Water Association, and been a principal at a ranked Homeland Security and emergency management consulting firm. Vance is a nationally recognized public speaker and an advocate for individuals with disabilities. He has a master's degree in Homeland Security from the University of Connecticut, and I'll bear with you on that one since I'm a big women's basketball guy, and UConn's pretty good, so I'll go with that. Eddie has an undergraduate degree from Brigham Young University in Communications. He's married to his sweetheart, Casey. They have two wonderful daughters, and I'm really happy to have him here with me today. So, Vance, good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on again.
My
Appreciate it.
pleasure. My pleasure. So let's roll right into it. Luis and Vance, that's a departure. Let's find out how you got to that, how mom got to that.
Yeah, so I was named after both of my grandfathers. So my mom is from El Salvador. She came here when she was 22.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Her father's name is Luis, and there's 13 Luises in my family.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. So we'd do family parties, and it was like Luis followed by your initial. That's how
Oh,
we knew which cup belonged to who.
okay.
Um, and then my father's name Vance,
Mm-hmm.
and so they went with Louise Vance Taylor. And my mom, I asked her why didn't I just go by Louise, and she said I didn't want people to mispronounce your name.
Okay.
I didn't want them to say Lewis. It's not Lewis, it's Luis. And so what's funny about it is anytime somebody sees my bio,
Mm-hmm.
and they see my first name spelled out, inevitably they say something like, "Hey, I didn't know your first name was Lewis."
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, "Man, mom nailed it. She knew." Um, so yeah, in my family, I'm Louis Vance, but everywhere else, I'm just Vance.
That's a familiar story to me with even with my name. It's Errol, and my mom did it that way with two L's specifically so they wouldn't say Earl, and they still say Earl,
Oh, no way.
and then spell it the way that they want to, even though they'll see it the way that it is. So I can empathize with you.
We got it.
So we go way back, and we didn't realize it until more recently. Justin Heintz, who is the co-author of my new book, Inside the Castle Walls, and you knew Justin, still know Justin,
Yeah,
as
great
well
guy.
as a number of other people in the DC area, David Olive, Rich Cooper,
Yeah,
Chris Battle. Were you at Catalyst Partners with them?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I was directing security policy at a trade association.
uh-huh.
It was the Association of Metropolitan Water Agencies,
Mm-hmm.
but they represent the nation's largest drinking water utilities, but Chicago, LA, New York. And I finished up my master's,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd gone to lunch. I was literally coming back to work with a Burger King bag in my lap, and I ran into my friend on the street randomly, my
Uh-huh.
friend Abe, who was walking with somebody he introduced me to named David Olive.
Oh.
And so we started talking, and he said, "Hey, we're looking for somebody
Mm-hmm.
that can help us with critical infrastructure protection.
Okay.
And your background's great. Let's figure something out. Can we meet?" So he came to my office, and in his very loud, boisterous David Olive voice, says, "What do we got to do to make you quit here and start working for me?"
That sounds like him.
I was like, "Keep it down, man. My boss is two doors down." Um, but yeah, eventually I joined up with Catalyst Partners
Uh-huh.
and got to meet the whole crew. And we, of course, worked very closely in partnership with Chris Battle,
Mm-hmm.
um, who, as you know, is one of my heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, Chris, Justin, you, and all sort of the dots got connected.
I know Chris was an incredible inspiration for you as he was for others. In fact, when Justin reached out to me, it was the day after I withdrew from confirmation as a presidential nominee. And Justin spoke to me, and then he spoke to Chris, and Chris said, "No, we're going to represent Errol pro bono. He's our client." And so Chris was just an amazing person. So sad to see him pass away several years ago. And I know you, when we spoke recently, you mentioned about how much of an inspiration he was.
Yeah, it's interesting because so as somebody with a disability,
Mm-hmm.
um, there are a lot of challenges, right? Physical challenges, emotional challenges. Um, it just can be pretty tough. And so I, however, have that personality where I just kind of try and push forward, push forward, push forward.
Uh-huh.
And I've been really blessed to be able to achieve so many things in life. Along the way, it has not been uncommon for somebody, friends, family, others to say something along the lines of,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, you really set this incredible example, or you inspired me in some way. Um, when I needed strength, I thought of you and what you've overcome,
Mm-hmm.
and it helped me." And that's a very humbling thing when somebody says that. You never wake up in the morning and you think, "I'm going to inspire somebody today,"
Right.
right? You just kind of live life, and if you know that you've helped somebody in some form or fashion, then that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have let's say, Vance Taylor to look to in my life,
Uh-huh.
that that inspired me in that same way until I met Chris. And as Chris was struggling with cancer, the way that he was able to tackle that with such dignity and grace and this never ending uh, fire, that he had,
Hmm.
while at the same time modeling the way of what every good, just honest, decent husband, father, and friend should be. Just it inspired me, and so on my hard days, on the days when I felt like maybe I can't overcome this challenge, or I don't have enough gas left in my own tank,
Hmm.
I would think about Chris and what he was going through and the way that he managed to show up and show out every day. And it would give me the strength I needed to keep going. And that's when it really hit home for me what it is to have somebody in your life that you can look to for that strength.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I want to go back to as you described yourself as a person with a disability, and I know some people in the community are challenged by that term. Can you explain that?
Yeah, when we talk about inspiration, um, there's a great TED talk that is all about inspiration porn. That's what they refer to it as. And and to me, there's a difference, right? There's a difference between looking at somebody who has a disability and saying, "Wow, the the fact that you got up today, given your disability, that you're an inspiration, right? Like, well, I didn't really do anything. I just got up. That that shouldn't be an inspiration." Um, but I see that as very different than, hey, you're somebody who's working hard, who's doing a, a lot, that's achieving their dreams, that's doing great things in life, that's setting a good example. All of that is inspirational, and I think that's the definition of inspiration that I embrace. And so, in the disability community, sometimes that term can be uh, controversial,
Hmm.
but that's how I explain it, and that's how I view it.
Okay, great. Let's go back to mom and dad. So, mom was from El Salvador, and I would assume a native Spanish speaker, but dad didn't
Yeah,
speak Spanish.
no, not at all. Which was super funny because as little kids, we were raised speaking English and Spanish.
Oh, okay.
And so we knew as kids, if we wanted to like talk about my dad or sneak something by, we would just switch to Spanish,
Hmm.
um, which I think he hated, but that was okay. That was his fault for
Okay.
not learning Spanish.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it's funny, as little kids, you just kind of know things. Like we knew that when we spoke with our grandparents on my father's side,
Hmm.
that was always English.
Okay.
When we spoke with my grandparents on my mother's side, it was always Spanish.
Aha.
And nobody ever had to explain, hey, these don't speak English and those don't speak Spanish. As a kid, you just, I think kids inherently are perceptive and they know things. Um, but yeah, I'm incredibly blessed that my mom stuck with it in Spanish, uh, despite the fact that we fought her on it.
Hmm. Hmm.
As a kid, you don't want to be different.
Right.
And so my friends would be over and my mom would speak to me in Spanish. And they're like, what's that? And I was in this rural Northern California county, and it was like weird.
Uh-huh.
And her rule was if she spoke to you in Spanish, you had to respond in Spanish.
In Spanish, right. Okay.
even in front of your friends. So
I I
I
see.
hated that. Oh, we hated that. But she did not care. She was undeterred. And I'm really grateful.
That's good. So let's talk about the rest of your family, brothers, sisters.
I've got two older sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're keeping track, uh, I'm the youngest boy in a Latino family with two older sisters and a mom.
Uh-huh.
So I was very spoiled growing up.
Okay.
My sisters would say I was spoiled. I would say I was well loved.
All right.
Um, and dad was there, but dad was only in the picture until I was 7 or 8.
All right.
And then what happened is we got diagnosed with muscular dystrophy.
You and your sister?
Me and my sister, the middle child, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um, so the three of us, two of us have MD.
I see.
And we went to see a specialist in San Francisco
Mm-hmm.
because when the diagnosis came through, we didn't know what that meant. It's like, okay, we got a name for it, but we don't know what it is.
Okay.
Um, when the diagnosis came through, it was somewhat expected that Kathy, the middle sister,
Mm-hmm.
um, that she would have some sort of a diagnosis come through. She had shown signs of weakened muscles.
Oh.
She had a hard time keeping up with her friends, going up and down stairs,
Uh-huh.
carrying heavy objects like a gallon of milk, um, which is why we went to the doctor.
I see.
My mom was worried about her. And in my family, when one kid goes to the doctor, everybody goes.
Okay. Got it.
So we all had blood drawn. It came back that Kathy and I had high levels of CPK in our blood,
I see.
which I didn't know what that meant, but I knew you weren't supposed to have too much, and we had a lot.
Oh.
So Kathy and I go to the hospital. We have a muscle biopsy.
Uh-huh.
Um, and now they just do a punch biopsy. It's really super quick and easy.
Mm-hmm.
But back then it was like an actual surgery.
Oh.
So I still got a long scar on my left thigh from where they went in and took out a solid piece of tissue from my muscle. So um, went back home. We waited several weeks. Phone rings. If the call or had come in today, it would have been on my mom's cell phone. She'd have had call ID.
Right.
She would have known who it was and gone in the other room to take it.
Okay.
It, but none of that existed, right? We had that
No.
phone that's like up on the wall in the kitchen with the super long cord that always gets tangled up.
Right. That could stretch into two more rooms.
That's right. So mom picks up and we're just watching her. And I I remember watching as the blood drained from her face.
Oh boy.
As she was told that Kathy had muscular dystrophy.
Mm-hmm.
And as devastating as that was, she, I think, almost fell over when they told her that I had muscular dystrophy as well.
Mm.
Because at that point, I wasn't symptomatic at all, right? I'm running, I'm jumping, I'm playing like any other 7-year-old kid.
Right.
Um, and I remember she hung up and then went into the other room
Mm-hmm.
uh, to the kitchen and came back out with pies. And what's so funny about it, because like pies, was she going to eat her feelings? What was going on? Errol, the call came through on Thanksgiving.
Oh man.
And so she chose not to tell us
Uh-huh.
because she wanted us to have one more Thanksgiving where there was that sense of normalcy in our life.
I understand. Wow.
So she had to carry the weight of that
Uh-huh.
through the rest of that day.
Oh.
Um, so yeah, so we had a diagnosis. We didn't know what that meant. So we drove what for us was like 8 hours to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
We met with a specialist. The specialist came into the room and looked at not me, just looked at the chart, and then said, "Your body's going to fail you. You're going to start to trip and fall. You'll lose the ability to run and walk."
And you're 7 years old.
I'm 7 years old. He says, "You're going to use a wheelchair for the rest of your life."
Oh,
Bear in mind, he hasn't even introduced himself to us yet. So he turns to my mom and he says, "Mrs. Taylor, your son will rely on you for care for the rest of his life.
oh my God.
He won't go to high school. College would be impossible.
Uh-huh.
He'll live with you forever. So for your sake and his, when it comes to expectations, just set the bar low."
Wow.
And then he left. And we had to drive 8 hours back home in what was a very, very quiet drive.
I bet. I mean,
Um, and it's interesting. It's like I knew the story, I lived the story, I was there.
mm-hmm.
It didn't really hit me. Uh, I think until I had my own kids.
Uh-huh.
And I think about my daughters when they were 7.
Right.
And if somebody had devastated them in that same way at that same age, um, I had thought about it from my perspective, not my mom's. That must have been horrible for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got
Indescribable.
home and she says, uh, I'm sitting on the side of my bed and she says, "Look, that doctor was really smart, okay, in terms of science. He had a lot of degrees, certificates on the wall."
Of course.
She says, but he doesn't know you, right? He doesn't know you're smart. He doesn't know you're a hard worker. She doesn't know that you're a kid that gets better, not bitter.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to go to high school, you're going to go to college. Those aren't options.
Right.
And you're going to achieve your dreams. And that's just the way it's going to be.
Uh-huh.
And so I remember her saying some version of, if you can dream it, you can achieve it,
Okay.
but it's going to take work. You're going to have to use your mind.
Yep.
And so I can remember as a 7-year old consciously deciding that I was going to achieve my dreams. That whatever came my way, I would find a way over it, under, around, or through it, but I was going to get where I got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which is a lot for a kid, right? I had to grow up pretty fast,
Yeah.
but it was also a great blessing because that's been my North Star my entire life.
Yeah.
Um, and something I've tried to instill in my own kids. But that's how it went. So we go back and forth to the doctors,
Mm-hmm.
and on maybe our second or third visit,
Mm-hmm.
we drove the 8 hours back home and pulled up to the driveway. I did what any, I want to say maybe self-centered 7, 8-year-old kid does.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I jumped out of the car and went into the house. I did not bother unpacking. I left that to my sisters and my mom. Uh, so I'm going up the stairs. I enter the house, and it's late. It's dark. I look to the side, and there's suitcases, which was odd.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing I know, we're having a family discussion in the living room. Mom's crying, and My dad says, I'm out of here.
Whoa.
And he took off. So, and it's interesting the things you remember. I still remember the sound of his car when he drove down the street.
Yeah.
Um, I saw him just a few times after that.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I haven't actually seen him. I was, I don't know, 15, 16
Yeah.
years old, something like that. Last time I maybe saw him. Um, so, so yeah, my mom's in a situation where she's now a single parent,
That's right.
raising three kids, two of whom have muscular dystrophy. Um, and thank goodness for education because she came here at 22. She didn't even know English.
Mm-hmm.
She enrolled in night classes to learn English.
Okay.
And then she worked what many people would categorize as menial jobs,
Uh-huh.
um, which is insulting, by the way. She worked hard jobs, but it was honest work.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing or menial about honest work. Um, but she worked tough jobs and she paid to uh, go to night school and got a GED.
Good for her.
And then she went
Wow.
on to get an associate's
Uh-huh.
and then ended up graduating from a four-year university.
As a single mom with you three.
So, so she got the degree while she was still married.
Okay.
Um, all three of us were born though,
Yeah.
so she had to do all that. And she said it was because she understood that in this country,
Mm-hmm.
education is what unlocks every opportunity.
Absolutely. And what an incredible example for all of you.
Oh, amazing! Because then she's in that position as a single mom,
Mm-hmm.
not only just to be able to provide for us. Now it was tight, all right, girl. But we never had the good snacks in my
I
house.
understand. Uh-huh.
Um, if you know what a wish sandwich is, you'll understand a bit about the way I grew up.
Uh-huh.
Um, and and yet we made it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was because she had done the work to get an education, to secure a job,
Mm-hmm.
that allowed us to pay the bills. And so when we got diagnosed with muscular dystrophy,
Mm-hmm.
she was super quick to say, "Look, you don't need a body that allows you to go dig ditches. You need a mind so sharp that you can go and do work that's going to allow you to make enough money to live your life."
Good for her.
Um, and so yeah, so yeah, I did, spoiler alert, right? High school, did college, did grad school, um, and all of that's enabled me to not just enjoy a great career, but to provide for our family.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, your interest in school, as I recall, you always loved politics,
Yeah,
along with believing, of course, anything was achievable. But how did that come about?
yeah, I was that nerd kid that um, loved to watch like the presidential debate, um,
Okay.
even at a young age. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
remember when Lloyd Benson was said, "You're no," I knew JFK. "You're no JFK," and
Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. I
the
remember that.
Jack. Well, I remember watching that as a kid,
Uh-huh.
and as a nerdy kid being excited by that. Um, and and yeah, I just kind of followed politics throughout, and so I was fascinated with this idea that we have a system, we have a way of process
Mm-hmm.
to make things better.
Yeah.
That things don't have to stay the way they are. And so after college, um, two things happened. One was I had my senior year been rejected by an investment banking firm
Mm-hmm.
for an analyst position. And I was told specifically it was because of my disability.
Ooh.
Um, which I thought, I guess kudos for being honest,
Yeah.
but
So,
that was that thing where you're in that horrible position
yeah. Mm-hmm.
where they're asking you a bunch of questions that are not just inappropriate but illegal,
Mm-hmm.
and yet you know that they hold all the power. So I'm going to sing, I'm going to dance, I'm going to do what I got to do to try and get this job.
Yeah.
Um, and ultimately, they said, no, we think that because of your disability, probably this isn't going to work.
Sorry to hear that.
Which,
Jeez.
again, it was financial analyst. I wasn't like building bridges, right? I was
Right.
crunching numbers.
Right.
Um, so I thought, well, I need to have a resume that's so strong
Mm-hmm.
that nobody could ever justify not hiring me.
Right.
And I thought, well, a good way to do that will be at grad school. So I started an MBA program, and a year after that, I took time to get more work experience.
Okay. What'd you do?
I moved to Washington, D.C., 3,000 miles away from everything I knew and anyone I was familiar with. And I interned for Congressman Mike Thompson,
Oh, okay.
um, who I had met earlier. And he had said, hey, if you ever want to intern for me, let me know. And uh, he was amazing. So I went out there. The interns started at 10 and they ended at 3.
All right.
I showed up at 8 and I left at 6.
Why am I not surprised?
Because it was important for me. One, I wanted to get a job there. I fell in love with DC. I fell in love with the Hill. I wanted to work there. I needed to be a part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And two, because I needed them to see that I was not going to get outworked. Um, I'm that guy that I will I will die at my computer before you outwork.
Right. I understand.
um, and so what was supposed to be a 3-month internship, after a month, he asked me to join the staff.
All right.
And I thought, well, I'll do this for a year. Um, and then probably come back to California, finish my grad program. Uh, but I blinked and 13 years had passed.
Uh-huh.
And I had worked for Mike, I'd worked for Congresswoman Sol Lofgren,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was amazing because she was on the Homeland Security Committee.
Right.
And so I really got to dive in head first. And it was a very exciting time. I mean, they're standing up the department. They're looking at TSA. They're moving from guns, guards, gates to Hurricane Katrina hits, and now we're looking at actual response and recovery and resilience. That that notion, that aha moment that we can't buy our risk down to zero.
Right.
Um, and that's how I went from straight Homeland Security
Mm-hmm.
to emergency management.
Mm-hmm.
Was that thing of sometimes it's not about was it a bomb
Mm-hmm.
or a hurricane,
Right.
right? It almost doesn't matter. What matters is can you respond and can you recover?
Yeah.
And that's emergency management, right? So um, there's a master's program that amazingly my mom had found out about
Uh-huh.
in Homeland Security at UConn. And I had made friends with Congressman Jim Langevin
Mm-hmm.
from Rhode Island. It was the only
Oh.
member of Congress at the time
Uh-huh.
that used a power wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Great mentor. And I said, Jim, what should I do? And he's like, you got to go get that program. I'll write you a letter. And so he did, and I did, and um, ended up getting that master's. And then I left the Hill. I directed security policy, like I said, at that association.
Mm-hmm.
Then that led to consulting. And I think I'd reached that stage of life because at that point, I'm now married. We've got two kids. Um, we're official East Coasters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we loved it. Loved our house, loved the school, loved the everything, my job. And I think it's when you have it figured out that, you know, God laughs and everything kind of gets turned on its ear. Because an opportunity arose in California.
Mm-hmm.
The governor recognized that when emergencies hit, that people with disabilities or access and functional needs
Mm-hmm.
are disproportionately impacted
Yeah.
before, during, and after the event.
And who was governor at the time?
So uh, initially, what happened was Governor Schwarzenegger started up this office of access and functional needs.
I remember that. I was in his administration at the time.
Yeah, and then Governor Brown had uh, reappointed the initial leader, Richard DeVelder.
Uh-huh.
And then Richard had taken a year off and done an appointment in DC,
Mm-hmm.
then ran into a bunch of health issues, took a long leave, came back, had to retire. And so the lights had been off in that office for a while.
Yeah.
And the governor said, we're looking for somebody who has lived experience with disability.
Uh-huh.
We'd love for somebody who is multicultural and bilingual.
Oh, perfect.
We need somebody with the expertise in homeland security
Mm-hmm.
who understands politics. And they're going down all these things that they want. And it was like, oh my gosh, the culmination of everything I've done
They were reading your resume.
is right perfect for this, you know? Um, so I got appointed. I got appointed to lead the governor's effort to make our emergency management system more inclusive.
Great.
And so we moved 3,000 miles to California, and I got activated my very first afternoon at work.
Really?
Yeah. And that started a 10-year period that's been the most active 10-year period in the state's history.
Yeah.
I've activated, deployed, and responded to, I think we're up to, I think maybe 16 of the 20 most devastating disasters in state history.
I would imagine most were fires.
Most for wildfires, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and as we've done that, I've gone up and down the state and worked with emergency managers at every level.
Mm-hmm.
And we've created a cultural shift in the way that people think about access and functional needs. First off, I'd go up and down the state and I'd talk about people with disabilities and access and functional needs. And people are like, well, what is that? Why does it matter?
Oh, okay.
And then it was like, okay, I get it, it's important, but like, how do we actually, what do we do about it?
Right.
All the way to now it's being integrated within every emergency operation plan in the state.
Outstanding.
Now it's the first thing people think about. There's AFN advisory committees. There's partnerships with community-based organizations.
Mm-hmm.
There's an understanding and recognition that we plan with the community, not for the community.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, what we have seen is that there is a decrease in human suffering and a decrease in lives lost, and that having a disability is no longer a death sentence
Uh-huh.
when it comes to emergencies.
That's good. That's
But
great.
just because I lack the ability to run for safety
Yes.
doesn't mean I can't get help.
Right. Right.
Um, so it's been an incredible journey, and I'm proud to say that California now leads the nation in inclusive emergency planning, and we've come a long way. And I'm the first one to say, by the way, that we're not there yet.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm going to at least cut you off to say thank you for your service. Thank you for being a pioneer in that space due to your hard work and diligence and inclusivity in terms of that domain. I'm so glad that we are leading the nation and hopefully the rest of the country will follow. But now I'm going to pivot a little bit and say, because of that work, I would imagine you got on the radar screen for the White House.
Yes, yeah, that was a real honor. So what's funny is when I was directing security policy at AMWA,
Mm-hmm.
one of the members who represented a large drinking water utility in Texas was appointed to serve on the National Infrastructure Advisory Council.
Okay.
President Bush had appointed him, and I was like the lead staffer for him. And so I'd go to all these NIAC meetings,
Uh-huh.
and you always sit at like the back table, right? So the main table, and then there's like all the staff that supports the main table. And I remember thinking, man, how cool would that be to get a chance to sit at that table?
Right.
But thinking that that was kind of like a pipe dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so fast forward all these years, the White House reaches out and they say, we would like, the president would like for you to serve
Wow.
on the National Infrastructure Advisory Council.
Did you know that was coming?
I did not.
Wow.
I did not. The thing that was kind of funny is they had already done the vetting.
As they usually do.
So I was like, oh, wow, okay, I guess you guys have looked into this. This is great.
Yeah, you didn't have to think about it.
It's just great. And like, as a patriot, you understand that when your president asks you to serve, you serve,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you have an opportunity to serve the country, then that's something you take seriously and you do it because it's a privilege.
Yeah, I know what that feels like. You're absolutely correct.
I love this country so much. This country has offered so much. I'm the son of an immigrant, and my story is only possible in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so after a series of meetings, we find ourselves um, going back and forth to the White House, and I'm in a meeting and briefing the president,
Really?
briefing President Biden
Wow.
in the White House, and he comes over and he's shaking my hand, and we're talking, and he's talking to me about you know, my family's asking me about my day job, he's asking me all these questions.
Uh-huh.
He gives me no joke. He says, I have something for you. And he grabs a challenge coin and he gives me a presidential challenge coin. And he says, these are given on the field of battle,
Yes.
and this is our battlefield.
Wow. What a statement.
So he gave it to me. I was the only one by the way, they got a challenge. Everybody's like, what the heck's going on over there? Um, but in that moment, I had sort of a, look, not an out of body experience, all right, but you have a moment where it's almost like you're looking at yourself like you're watching a movie.
Yes.
And it was so powerful for me because in that moment, I just kept thinking about my grandparents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my grandparents on my mom's side. So my grandmother had like a third or fourth grade education.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather had, I think it was a sixth grade education.
Okay.
They were not formally educated, but they were very bright, very smart, very kind and very loving and very hardworking.
Mm-hmm.
But for them, and they passed away,
Mm.
um, but I just thought, I don't know that they could get their arms around the fact that their grandson was in the White House advising the President of the United States and accepting this challenge coin. And I just felt so proud.
What an amazing feeling.
Yeah, I just felt proud to be able to represent them, um, and my mom and all the people that are sacrificed to make that a reality.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So where do you go from here? Two questions for you. Where do you go from here? And how can people join you in your incredible efforts?
Um, yeah, the where do we go from here is interesting. I'm not entirely sure. I feel like the universe has a way of putting you where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I agree. I always say coincidence takes a lot of planning.
Sure does. Um, and so right now, I'm really seeing so much change, as we all are, coming at the
Mm-hmm.
federal level.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's been a very proactive, intentional, deliberate, whatever word you want to use, effort to pull back the federal resources that were intended and designed to help people with disabilities
Really?
be safe before, during, and after disasters.
Oh boy. I did
So
not know that.
if you look, you'll see, well, FEMA's got their Office of Disability Integration and Coordination.
Right.
But if you look closer, you'll see that that office has been gutted. You'll see, oh, well, they've got their L197 course on how do we integrate access and functional needs into emergency planning.
Uh-huh.
But if you look closer, you'll see that that course was discontinued, that they don't offer anywhere in the country now.
Okay.
Same thing with their IS368 course,
Uh-huh.
which was available online. It's been taken offline. Same thing with guides, best practices, and
Uh-huh.
additional training resources, all removed
That's unacceptable. Jeez.
because somehow disability integration is woke
Uh-huh. Oh.
or DEI,
Uh-huh.
um, as opposed to what it should be, which is ensuring that everyone in our community can be safe before, during, and after a disaster. And so, what we're doing in California, I'm tremendously proud of, which is we're taking our course on
Hmm.
integrating access and functional needs into emergency plan, and we're making it available nationwide.
Outstanding. And what we're going to do, Vance, is after our program airs, is absolutely promote, market, advertise your program.
I appreciate that.
Of
Thank you.
course.
We're we're developing a new version
Mm-hmm.
of the IS368 course,
Mm-hmm.
but again, we'll make available to anyone nationwide. We've got courses on developing accessible documents
Mm-hmm.
so that emergency related information goes out in accessible formats.
Okay.
We've got a course on uh, developing accessible social media because more and more information goes out on social media platforms.
Yes.
And so all this training, all these guides, all these resources, we are recognizing that we have to create them not just to make sure California continues to lead the way,
Mm-hmm.
but also because we need to be the light on the hill that can provide this key information for states throughout the country who can no longer rely on the federal government to provide it. So,
We're,
so that's what we're doing now.
we're going to help you with that. You know, it's interesting. I serve on, as you know, on the California Commission on the State of Hate,
Yeah,
and we have the same challenges as it relates to the disabled community becoming hate crime victims and not reporting, not being treated equally. And we're making efforts again to try to make sure that that doesn't happen. But as I mentioned previously, we're going to advertise your link to the site and anything we can do to help promote that and make people more aware and better educated that this is happening. I had no idea that those resources had been gutted like this.
yeah, yeah. It's just it's a terrible thing, but we're not going to just sit back and let it happen. We're going to make sure people have what they need to be safe.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well, you've had an incredible journey. It's still going. It's great to, I'll say, reconnect, even though we've been in the same circles of the same people for over
Yes.
15 years.
Yeah.
And somehow we didn't run into each other between governors' administrations and Homeland Security. And it's just been amazing. But as I said, coincidence takes a lot of planning, and I'm glad Justin brought us back together.
It was great.
Yeah.
This is really great. And by the way, let me just say, because you're not going to plug your own book, can I just say how incredible for you to share your story with everybody
Well, thank you. Thank you.
and your perspective and your journey. Um, there's a lot of books that are out there. There's a handful that we should read, and yours is at the top of that list. It's so good.
Thank you.
So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
I agree with you. And you said something to me recently, and I've always tried to live my life that way. You know, you said be kind because everybody's going through something, and I knew we both know what that feels like.
Yeah,
So, Vance, thank you for your service. It's just thank you for your time. And as I mentioned, we'll go ahead and advertise and push the programs that you're talking about. And I'm going to close out here with just again, thank you for joining us for this episode of Inside the Castle Walls. This program is produced by my daughter, Maya Southers. You may listen to our program on a variety of platforms identified on our site, which is insidethecastlewalls.com. That's insidethecastlewalls.com. Discover the other extraordinary people who have joined us to share their successes to get inside the castle and become the solution we're all looking for. Thank you for what you do and continue on. And if there's anything we can ever do to support you, you know where to find me.
appreciate it. Thanks all.
Okay. Thank you, Vance.